Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Hello there, hi there. Sort of a different schedule for the show this week. Trying to get a lot of these shows done as preview shows, and so much good information to get to in this one. There are some terrific coaches coming up here in just a few. This is actually one of three shows that I have planned. Hopefully it stays like this in the next couple of days. Already had the golf talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you listened to it and didn't let Keith Utendorf run you off. But a big week of soccer already getting started later tonight. It'll be the Ottawa Glandorf ladies who will be in action. They'll be at Anthony Wayne. That you can hear on WZOQ radio at 7 p.m. High school football kicks off Friday. You've got the golf teams again in action to hear from Spencerville head coach Kory Zenz, Ottawa Glandorf coach Michelle Maag, Kenton coach Jamie Bartlett, Ottoville boys coach Dustin Markward, Caley Yoder will talk about volleyball at St. Mary's, and the ever-amusing Nick Wilson, whose team is coming off of a win last night as I tape this, the head girls coach at St. Mary's. I hope you enjoy all of these. Not a lot of other things in this episode just because there's so much to get to, and I hope you enjoy. Switching modes, going back into golf as we look at my alma mater in Spencerville, and a gentleman, I'm going to go ahead and use that term even though I know far too many things about him, and the head golf coach in Kory Zenz that plays on some nice courses that maybe back in the day he and I would not be allowed to play on as a duo. It's very possible that we would have been asked, or maybe have been asked, to leave some of these same courses. Kind of an interesting time for you guys in the, I want to say we were talking about this earlier, the re-infancy of the golf program, and that kind of what it was a couple of years ago and now kind of taking a couple of years off. It's already gone, though. I mean, you guys have already gone through 2 meets. That's something that you hit the ground running.
Yeah. Nice thing about golf is you know you're matched up against usually one conference opponent for the match, but you're playing against 2 or 3 other teams at the same time. For non-league, and your record gets established pretty quick. Fortunately, as we got out there in the first match and got a win in right away and built the guys' confidence and got them excited to be out there. So that was nice. But yeah, things are moving quickly.
And I would think it helps for you as a younger coach in terms of years with the program and with sports in general, that you've got guys. I know we have a mutual friend in Kevin Brandt at Lipstick, that you're able to kind of maybe pick those guys' brain a little bit, that they've been around of, okay, maybe how did you guys approach this at the beginning?
Yeah, no doubt. Last year especially, I had a feeling going into it, when one of the students, Michael Woods, a few years ago approached me about starting up a golf, because I teach in the middle school. So I was thinking of, how many guys do I know in high school that I've ever heard talk about golf or play golf? And my student I knew. So I thought, okay, Michael, if you can get guys that want to come out and play, and I said that thinking, I think it's going to be hard because I know, Mike Harmon struggled to get guys out when there was, he had some talent with his own sons there. So I thought, we may not get a team. If we do, I'd be happy to coach it. And so Michael got some guys, and last year really been the only one who'd ever played. So the funny thing is I sent out a little survey, this kind of getting off point a little bit, but last year when we started the team, and it said, what do you shoot on eight? I got answers like, I don't know. I've never done that. So when I read those, I thought, uh-oh. I knew going into last year, it wasn't going to be about winning matches, even though I'm a competitive person. I want to win. I know the guy, and it was more about to learn the basics of golf. So getting with those coaches and going, hey, how was it when you started out? Kevin Brandt, you mentioned, they're excellent, but they everybody starts out rough and building a program and anything. So the improvement that I see from last year, or this year from last year is awesome. And those coaches have helped me a ton. They helped me with a lot of things last year, and they're still helping me. So I know the game of golf, but I don't. Coaching it's a whole different thing. So
right, I've always said that too. Of people have said about maybe coaching kids in broadcasting and trying to explain things, teaching it to them. And I said I don't know how that would go, because one of the hardest things is, okay, I know something, but how do I explain it to you to where you feel like you know it? Yeah,
exactly.
Those who can't do teach, those who can't teach broadcast, I think is how that goes. I
guess so. No, it's easy to show them. I stand up there all the time in practice and I say, guys, just do this. And, and they look at me like I'm crazy, because it's so much easier to say it and show it than the kids who have really not played a lot of golf. So experience for me and them when we're out there every practice, I think I learn a little bit more. The next time I'm going to handle that a little different. I'm going to try this thing a little different. And I guess that's how you grow as a coach, or, anything you do. So, yeah, but it's been fun. I'll tell you that. We've had a lot of fun out there, just the short few weeks we've been in the season. Compared to last year, I just think the guys are comfortable now. They know the rules of golf. Last year, there were matches we went out there and guys still didn't really know the rules of how to play, in different situations, what to do. So I was on edge at all times, worrying about making sure that they were making the right calls and decisions. So this year is a little more laid back, which is nice.
So what you're saying is that current age I won't date either one of us, could go back and possibly teach 13-year-old you and I in my mom's side yard a couple of rules.
I can imagine that.
Maybe not when to hit the ball.
Yeah, we could have used that. That would have been nice back then.
We could have used a lot of things.
So these guys, if they had us, if we had guys like us, I should say, back then, who knows? It's funny to watch these guys that first go out there and hit balls. Everybody wants to do what? What's every kid want to do when they get to a driving range?
I would imagine Happy Gilmore.
Pull out the driver and swing as hard as they possibly can. So the first thing I get out there and do is show them, hey, guys, I'm going to swing half the speed you swing and watch the difference on where the ball goes. And that's the first thing I always like to show the guys, because they always think faster and, harder is better. So that's the thing we get out of the way right away, day one of practice. And the guys right away go, oh, okay. And then getting better. That first lesson that you give on how fast to swing a club. So, yeah.
Well, it's because it looks cool on TV when DeChambeau, bends physics, and he's got that driver up over his head, and you think metal shouldn't bend like that.
And I want to do that. It should. Yeah, everybody wants to do that.
Right. My grandma's golf clubs didn't bend like that. She may have been missing a couple of them afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's a whole other one.
Yep.
Well,
exactly.
It's fascinating to me, and I've asked all the golf coaches that I've talked to about this, but with the way the season goes, it's similar to baseball and softball in the spring, in that you hit the ground and you better be already running, because you're going to take less than 60 days and try to cram as much into it as you can before the season ends.
Yeah, without a doubt. Things move quickly. I had just brought that up the other day in practice. When we go through things, and I said, guys, at this point, we really are out of time to work on the golf grip. 2 days of messing around with the golf grip during practice, and we're out of time with that. We can't really spend time on that. If you need to go home at night and you work on your golf grip while you're watching TV, do so, please, because things move so quickly in this season. It's a good thing and a bad thing, but we got this week off, and then we're back at it again, and then it's nonstop till, like you said, you got 60 days or so, and then the season comes to an end. So, it's nice. It's a good season. It's a nice short season, but there's also, I wish we had more time to get a few more rounds of golf in too. So
I think that's every golf coach ever.
Oh yeah. More rounds of golf always. Player,
I just
coach,
wish I had more time to play more golf.
More golf is always better. Yeah.
I haven't gotten to go for a couple of years now with COVID and the baby and everything. But I think that's probably good for the golf world.
it's good. Keeps things moving along a little faster out there on the course.
Right. I mean, I don't understand these people that build, houses on golf courses. They're just asking for it.
I've donated a few to those backyards. I always tell my guys, we play Tamarack. Well, we practice and play at Tamarack. And every time we're out there, I tell the guys, I don't even want you thinking, aim as far away from houses. I don't care if trees on the right side. Get away from those houses because I just know it's coming. I don't want to hear that sound. So,
that one big house in the field on the left side of one of those turns towards the end of the course really is just kind of asking for it.
I agree. And my guys like to, and I have actually been guilty myself of putting them in the backyards over there. So I just don't want to hear broken glass. As a coach, I don't want to hear that from one of my players. So
no. And the worst part is the sign is only like 5 yards off the back of the green.
Correct.
Well, I'm going to play my ball out of your backyard. I'm sorry about that.
Well, they just turn the sprinklers on you when you do that then.
Well, that hasn't happened to me yet. They see me coming, they close the doors. But
knock on wood though. My guys, when they get on a hole that's tight like that, they know to swing a little easier or pull out an iron and hit it, straight. They know. So they do a nice job with that, really. They're controlling the ball. So.
Well, and you've got two big meets. I mean, almost you do 2 in 3 days. You go Monday, the 22nd against Ada at Tamarack, and then you turn around and take on a school I know you're very familiar with in Jefferson at the Country Club. Is it harder to kind of go back and forth the way your schedule goes to where you play a lot of afternoon, but you've got a couple of the same clubs in the morning? I mean, have the guys gotten to the point where you think it'll affect them one way or the other? Or they'll just, and I mean this in the nicest way. I mean this in the nicest way, that they're golf ignorant in that they're not afraid of one way or the other.
Yeah, I was telling it might have been Brett Hammonds from Lincoln View the other day. We were at our match, and I think I said that exact quote, basically, that we're so new to it that we know what we don't know. A lot of guys get up there and they get nerves and tension and they feel the pressure, and not saying our guys don't get that, but I think that they're so new to it that they don't understand really golf to understand the pressure and how and that. So it's a blessing at the same time. It's why we're going to probably struggle to win too many matches this year because we are so new to it. But it's fun. I think it makes coaching easier right now because the guys are learning so much so fast. Times it doesn't matter what time of mornings, afternoons. Just think last year we got out right away the matches and they were both invitationals. We played 17, 18 teams in a couple Saturdays. And for my guys, just that amount of walking on a golf course, spurs, and then you're out there all day long. I think it made my guys maybe rethink if they wanted to play golf, because you're chasing a lot of shots around and you're tired. It was 90 some degrees when we played. So switched it up a little bit. We went first match being conference matches, 9 holes in the evening, which was nice. It was a little cool. And then last week, it was 76 or so in our match, with Lipstick. So good way to start this year. It's been a little more relaxed compared to last year.
Hey, what do you frame from your first career win? I know a lot of coaches will get, you get a basketball, you get a signed ball or whatever. I mean, what do you do? Just put a golf ball up on the mantle?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I guess.
I mean,
that one.
You got to get something. You got to have some kind of cool little memorabilia from that.
That's one thing I need to ask the other coaches. What do you get for that? What do you do? So,
just don't ask KB or Keith Utendorf.
Correct.
Yeah, don't ask either one of those guys.
Kevin seems to be my go-to for advice on a lot of things. He's a good dude. He's actually all the guys that have been in our matches, especially the Northwest Conference coaches they've all said, "Hey, don't worry. We had no clue when we first started coaching. We messed a lot of things up and getting advice on entering my rosters into computer system and the scorekeeping system, they all said, listen, we get it. So I get it. I take, I probably text the coach every couple weeks on something that I'm not sure about, and they get right back with me. So it's nice. It's a good group of guys. Thank goodness, because if it weren't for them, I'm not sure I would be able to coach, and I would have a lot more stress, I would say.
Well, I said this before. The crazy thing is we're in a cycle right now where it's pretty much just all the basketball coaches who are the golf coaches.
There's a lot of them.
I don't know what that means.
Guys. Or former basketball coaches, if not currently coaching, a few.
I don't know. They don't have anything else to do.
I tried to get Kevin Sensible out to his son Owen is playing this year, and we golf a lot together. We haven't this year because of per things, but in the past we've always golfed quite a few times together in the summer together. And I said, yeah, I'd love to. You should come out and help. And thinking he'd bite on that, getting out there, get some free golf and working with the kids. But basketball takes over. That's his thing. So he's
got his routine down by this point.
He's got exactly the way I was going to say. He's got his routine, and but a lot of basketball coaches do coach golf. So Jeremy Beth, he's helped just with advice and things, and he's pretty laid back, so that helps. Hammonds is obviously a basketball coach there. Brant's going to be busy with watching his son at Findlay.
It's true.
So yeah, a lot of basketball background.
Yeah, I don't know what any of that means. I figured that out one day. I'm like, there's a good percentage in the area.
Yeah, this is a little bit more laid back than coaching basketball, I'd have to imagine.
I should hope so. Otherwise, I feel like you're going to get canceled otherwise. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I agree. Let's hope.
Well, I'm excited for what you guys can do and continue to build the program. And obviously, I wish you the best, and both in a personal, professional, just because, I like my alma mater to win things. Oh,
absolutely. Yep. I appreciate that. I know that you're a Bearcat always, man. And, our guys appreciate, everything you do for the school that you've done and staying in touch with people and kids. And, it's nice to talk to you and catch up. Just, we don't get enough time.
No, I do what I can. Sometimes it works.
Yeah, you do well. We appreciate it.
That is the boys golf coach at Spencerville and Kory Zenz. Back with some more here of this hilarity in just a few.
Are you in Spencerville and looking for a place to eat before the Bearcats play? Well then, head to my place, 128 North Broadway, for deep-fried mushrooms, chili cheese fries, the best pie around, and soup of the day. If you're in a hurry and just want to order some to go, you can give Doug and his staff a call at 419-647-4062, and they'll have it ready for you. My Place Restaurant at 128 North Broadway in Spencerville, a proud supporter of Bearcat Athletics.
Continuing on and talking about soccer coming up here in just what seems like a few short days with the head coach of last year's state runner-ups and Michelle Maag. OG Soccer 21-2 last year. That had to be a heck of an experience, especially for you as someone who's grown up around that program and is now the head of that program.
Yeah, it sure was a heck of a lot of fun last year. Just a really great group of kids, and I think we were incredibly well led from our senior class last year. So it was just really exciting to see them to have a great successful season. And I think they set goals that were pretty much at that level early in the year. So it was great to see them accomplish those and work really hard to get there. Just good to see Lady Time Soccer kind of back at that high level where it was once before. And we're excited about that and want to keep moving forward.
Goals is the one word that I would definitely associate with your program. Last year, you broke the school record for goals with 122, and you allowed a school record low 11. I mean, that's to do one in a year is great, but to be able to do two, I mean, that's a testament, obviously, to what you brought in as a first-year coach and the girls buying into everything pretty much all the time.
Yeah, the girls did the work, like you said. I think it's important that you have to be a great team on both sides of the ball. And I'm not one really to keep a close eye on records, but anytime you can be kind of on the top end of those record books, you've had a good season. So I think for the girls, just to understand that right, we're a defense first team. I think that is super important for us and something that the girls bought into. And when we play like that, I think it just feeds their offense. So, if there's one thing we're looking for, right, is we want to be the hardest working defensive team in the league, in the area, in the state. And that's kind of what we're working towards. And once we're able to get that under our belt, right, goals just have a tendency to come a lot easier for us. And I think that's what started a lot of our attacks last year. And we kind of we were a high scoring team, but I think most of it started with the defense. And that's where a lot of the credit goes in my book.
Well, and especially when you have a 3-year starting goalkeeper in Abby Warnicki, she doesn't have to make near as many saves last year as she did the year before. It pretty much cut them in half. What was it about kind of her as a leader where it seemed like there were times that you guys, I don't know if it was a meeting beforehand or what, but it was they're not crossing the midline?
Yeah, I mean, one of our priorities is to limit the amount of shots that our teams get off. If we can limit shots, right, we're going to limit goals. Those two things go hand in hand. And Abby's a fantastic leader, just like you said. She was always communicating back there for us, making sure her defenders were in the right spots for her. And you probably heard her yell, pressure, 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 all the time back there. And I think the girls responded to that well, right? They made it hard for other teams to get good looks. And anytime that happens, right, the goalkeeper, if they're bored back there, it's typically a good night. And Abby definitely made some big saves when the moment came. And when Emma's moment came as well, I think she just did a great job staying ready. And when she got in there, man, she shined.
What I was going to say, there were times last year where I started thinking about, what's Abby thinking about back there? She could probably do her homework, or in the case of the girls' basketball team and your team, she could probably just make some TikToks while she's back there.
Oh, man. Abby definitely was involved in the game. I think she's our hype girl last year, and she did a good job of staying engaged and making sure, everybody was defending hard. Even if the ball was, 100 yards away from her, she was definitely excited about it, and she was a force of energy back there. So it was good to see that from her, and just a great year all around.
With her in goal and with Emma in goal, when you were able to go back and forth, they account for about 80 stops on the year. What was it about that duo sort of pushing each other, especially in the tournament? You guys play 7 matches. You've posted a shutout in 4 of them. It just seemed like no matter what the theory was, the 2 of them were going to be able to execute it.
Yeah, and like you said, right, they bring the best out of each other. I think a lot of people were impressed by both Abby and Emma's play during the season, but I just wish everybody could have saw what was happening in practice, because they were such competitors in practice, and they're fighting for that same spot. But it never got to a point where it was like a fight for it. They were both supporting each other and trying to make sure that each keeper was as good as they could be individually. And I think that was just such a key moment for us to make sure that when Emma got her moments in the net, she was ready, just because she had worked so hard in practice up until that point.
I'm always curious where, for coaches, when you lose multiple year players and you lose Abby Warnicki, Emily Horseman, Ella Oakley, and Chloe Schrader, Emily being a captain, and you also, with the way that things work out for her, with Alexa Fortman not coming back this year, how do you replace that at the top?
Yeah, I think that's priority number 1 for us this year is how do we fill that leadership kind of role that those seniors filled for us last year. And what's really exciting, right, is I think while we've got a lot of room to grow in that front, the growth that I've seen from our returning players on that leadership aspect has been really great here in this first week or 2 of preseason. So it's just super important. It's a big priority for me to make sure that we've got kids who just take ownership of this program. It's super important that they're playing for each other, right? And the way I look at it, I want to give the team to them, right? They run it, they own it. This is their team. They get to decide where we go. And I'm really excited to get some younger kids who have returned to us this year, give them that chance to take the team where they want to get it. And I think they've done a good job here in the first couple of weeks of preseason. I'm excited to see how they can grow in that leadership role, both on and off the field.
Somebody walks up to you and they tell you before your first game, you're going to have 2 girls who are going to have 23 goals, 7 assists, 25 goals, 8 assists. How big is the smile that you will have at that point of what you would think you can probably accomplish?
Yeah, I'm smiling right now. It's exciting to have both McKenna and Micah back. I think they did a great job last year of just finding ways to score, and it wasn't always the same way, right? Sometimes it was on crosses, sometimes it was long distance shots, sometimes it was set pieces. Just having those 2 kids, I think, to lead our scoring attack, and I think there's so many other kids who are also, really dynamic threats to score goals who are returning for us this year. The way I look at it, right, is you want to just shut those two players down, right? We've got 3, 4, and 5 who I think, they can also hold the scoring for us as well. So while I think we can just score in so many different ways, at the end of the day, I just want to take whatever the defense gives us on a given night, right? We'll take that, and that'll be the way we score that day, right? It doesn't always have to be the same way, right? We can be creative. We can have some freedom in that. But it's super exciting to have most of that attack back for us this year. And I think we can really level up on that.
Well, and kind of to piggyback in a way of, I'm sure other coaches looking at it, it's almost an embarrassment of riches with Bree Douglas has 12 goals, Claire Beach has 15 and 10, Lily has 15 and 12, and it really did have to feel like, I know a couple of the tournament games that, okay, everybody's going to key on Micah when she goes a certain way, or for McKenna, exactly what you're saying. All right, you know what? I'll give it to Lily and watch what she and Claire can do. And it seemed like from the outside of just the cohesiveness of that group of, we don't care who gets what, we just care that our number is bigger than theirs at the end, was a really neat thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. The girls would much rather win games than have individual stats that have them at the top of the list. And I think, just like you said there, right? I mean, all those kids are just so willing to share the ball. It does not matter how it gets in the back of the net, so long as it gets in the back of the net. That's important to us, and it's just giving what the defense, whatever the defense gives you, I just take it. If they're going to shut down the middle, we'll go wide. If they're going to play a high line, we'll go over the top. If they're going to make the middle compact, we'll just go over them. So it's just right. Like I have trust in all those kids to score goals when we need them to. And I think they have trust in each other, and that's important. It's not just it's not a one-man wrecking crew, right? We're willing to share the ball, and on any given night, it might be a different kid who steps up for us.
And more than likely, it probably will be. At this point, you've added a couple of really nice underclassmen. You've added some returners that didn't letter last year as well. You've had a couple of chances to see this team kind of going through practice and going through one scrimmage. How are you feeling going into your last couple scrimmages and really sitting about 10 days away from your first game?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think the team has had good growth here in this first week of preseason. But the coach in me definitely has a very long list of things that we have to get better at. I would say we did not pick up, on August 1st exactly where we left off on November, 11th or 12th, whatever it was. So it's important for us, right? Like we have to be good at fundamentals and then build from there. While I think we can get to that high level again, it's super important that we just make sure, every day we're getting better and better and better, and making sure we don't skip steps along that way. But I think, right, just excited for the season. And like you said, 10 days is real close to game day. So we're excited to get after it and get this journey started.
How hard were the last couple of days of July for you, just counting down until midnight, August 1st?
Oh, they were lots of fun. We played in a couple July weekend tournaments that were just optional. So we got a chance to get a look at some kids earlier in this summer, just kind of evaluate where we were at and give us some help on where to put kids leading into tryouts. So we got a chance to evaluate some younger players. We've got some kids who I think are ready for the varsity level coming up. So we're gonna give them a chance, and I think people will be surprised on what those young players can do. So we're excited, and I think all around, right, we're just looking to find a team that has really good depth. That's a priority for me at this moment. Making sure that we've got kids, not just a starting 11. We've got kids who can come off the bench and make sure we maintain a level of play through all of our 80 minutes of soccer.
Last year, second time OG's been to state. Unfortunately, neither one got the big gold trophy, but I don't know how many people know this, but you and I stood on the field at the end of that night after all the press conferences and when the girls were getting ready to go home and looked up at the giant screen. It says Waynesville on it and state champs, and we took a picture of it. How much does that motivate you to always kind of go about that extra thing or make sure that the extra thing is taking place as you get ready for this season?
It's incredibly motivating for me, and I think it is as well for the girls. I still look at that picture pretty frequently, Mike. So it's a daily reminder for me of where we want to get to and making sure that we don't skip steps on that journey. But I think, it's always tough to end your season on a loss, and while we were at the biggest stage, it still was a loss. So I think I've had a lot of time to think about that and figure out where we need to get better, how we need to get better. So it's very much so motivating, and I think it is for the girls as well. And we're excited to get started.
Well, it's kind of one of those six of one, half a dozen of the other things, because Waynesville moved up to D2, but Kettering-Alter moves down to D3, and that's a team that everybody looks at in that area of, okay, I know OG people really hate the term Kettering-Alter at this point, but I mean, way down the line, but that even looking at your own schedule, you have heavy hitters on it. Is that a thing for you of making sure, you get 2 D1 teams right out of the gate, of kind of bulking up because we want to play the best to get to the second season and understand how that's going to come at us?
Yeah, we definitely wanted to be challenged in our regular season, and I think the WBL is just always so tough. So we know we're going to get great competition in that league day in and day out. And then the same thing is true for our kind of non-conference games as well, right? So like you said, we've got some great matchups, particularly early in this season, that I'm looking forward to. But I think the most important thing for me, right, is I'm a 1-0 kind of coach, right? I just want to focus on the one game, the one practice, the 1 minute that's right in front of me. So while I think we have long-term goals set, and we've discussed that as a team, it's for us as a team, it's super important that we just focus on like whatever's right in front of us. I think kind of the easiest way to get distracted is to be thinking about the end of the road. Because if you think about the end of the road, you might not get a chance to get there. So I think my focus at this point is like, how do we find the moment right in front of us to get better in? How do we find the next practice, the next game? And if we can find a way to go 1-0 in all those moments, when the big moment comes, we'll be ready for it.
Well, hopefully that moment starts to build the snowball down the hill coming up on the 17th.
I hope so.
I thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, we appreciate you having me on, Mike. I think it's always fun to talk late time soccer with you. So we're excited to see you around at a bunch of games.
I will be pretty much everywhere. You turn around and I'll be at the popcorn stand.
That's exactly the way we want it.
That's the head coach of the OG girls in Michelle Maag. Some more coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Tony's on Main Street in Ottawa, home of the Titan Burger, and if you're really hungry, the Cow Tipper. Tony's grounds their hamburger meat each day. Each patty is fresh and never frozen and not cooked until you order it. Don't forget to add some of the great sides like French fries, pickle fries, and their great breaded mushrooms. While you're there, you can't forget to get some of their great ice cream treats, and frozen yogurt. Tony's on Main Street in Ottawa, making burger history since 1962.
Continuing to talk about high school soccer now, looking at the Western Buckeye League and the Kenton boys soccer program headed by the former D2 Coach of the Year and Jamie Bartlett. Jamie, you guys have already gotten off to a start. You've seen your team up for a couple of scrimmages, even an alumni game. How did the old-timers, so to speak, help out your program?
Oh, it's always great to see 30-plus guys come back, and we had a young 30-plus guys come back. And it was just a fantastic night on Friday night. They pushed us, we pushed them, and they got the bond a little bit during the game. I think the varsity and the alumni ended up tying 1-1. And it was just a great battle and just bonding at the highest extent.
Do you, when you look at those games, I mean, obviously you're in let me see how my team is going to be this year mode, but, I mean, do you get out there and get in on some plays?
Well, you know what? I was the referee this year. I'm not a graduate of
Kenton.
Yes, you're right. That's right. Now, I'm not a graduate of Kenton. I grew up in Cleveland. And so I've never gotten to play in one of these. So I always coach it. And this year, you know what? The referees were pretty busy, so I jumped out there. And two things we always hope for. One, we just want to be healthy when that game's done. And two, we just want to make sure everybody has a good time.
But see, I would think as a head coach, though, you could supersede that. You could be Pete Rose. You could be player manager. You play for whoever you want.
I imagine I could. I could probably jump in next year, change the rules a little bit. Usually we'll stick around afterwards and play alumni versus alumni, and that's when it gets real fun.
That's when it gets highly competitive.
Yes, exactly.
I always love those games because it's such a neat thing where it's obviously we talk about competitive, but it's kind of a more relaxed competitive of, okay, and you guys have been fortunate to have all league, all state performers that when those kids come back, they're going to push those young kids now.
Oh yeah, and I graduated I think 11 seniors last year, and probably over the last 4 years I've probably graduated close to 40 guys. And so they're going to come back and they're excited to play our guys, just like the high school guys are. They were excited because I think they're around about a 3 or 4 or 5 year winning streak there, and so it made for a quality matchup there on Friday night.
Well, and the way the league kind of worked out last year, I mean, it was interesting to see. Beginning of the year, everybody kind of penned Shawnee because we knew they were going to be good, and they ended up being that way. But you had that middle where it kind of went 2, 3, 4 with St. Mary's, OG, you guys, and Elida of, there's only 1 or 2 games that are kind of separating, and I believe the way it worked out, it only ended up being from 1 to 5, I think a handful of goals that really could have changed that seeding.
Oh, you're not too far off there. We had 6 ties last year, and quite a few of them came in the league. And it just seemed like we left goals on the table at the most inopportune times, and we struggled to finish. And we probably easily could have had a 13-win season last year as opposed to a 9-win season. But that WBL, you're right, it was extremely competitive. There were some classic battles there between first through fifth, and we unfortunately had to see Shawnee in the district semifinal as opposed to the district final, but we threw the kitchen sink at them, and we walked out of there with a 1-0 loss. And I think aside from Lexington, that was the closest game they played all tournament.
Which, I mean, it's kind of a hard thing, I'm sure, for the kids because it's a moral victory of we played them so well, but just that one bad run or that one weird bounce of a ball, and all of a sudden you're the one going home. Oh yeah,
it felt that way. We left that field with a lot of pride, knowing that our guys left everything they had on that table, and we threw everything we could at them, and we just came up a little short.
I know that I've personally seen a handful of times that you guys have played Ottawa Glandorf. It just seems like whenever you guys get together, the kids are probably going to feel more like they've played a different shaped football game. Just rowdy, and I mean not dirty. Everything just. I don't know. It just magnifies, and every little bump and every little play seems to mean more.
That's the thing about the WBL. It's a very physical league. And so here in Northwest Ohio, we play soccer a little differently than your bigger city areas there. And it's just a patented trademark of our league. And I think, like you said, against OG, against St. Mary's, we have some teams that it's going to be a fight, but you're, like you said, in a clean way. It's just going to be lace those boots up, go at it. And, sometimes you're going to get them and sometimes they're going to get you.
It's funny how that works out.
Yes.
Cool though, too. I've seen obviously with a lot of Twitter, you guys have a tremendous program from the top down in that you have so many young kids that you're able to sort of get indoctrinated into your culture, and it's really paying off with continuing to have good numbers.
Oh, it really has. It's been a nice 8 to 9 year run for us here. And, we've been trying to build it, and we got it built, and the culture was created, and it's a big family atmosphere there, and guys come in and guys leave, and it's great that the next set of guys are ready to take that torch and run with it. And, we've just got gritty kids. They're hardworking, and we're extremely excited about this upcoming season.
As we tape this, it's the night before, but you've got one more opportunity with Ontario this week to get ready as far as your week goes at home. What is this team, or what can this team be kind of going through the end of coming up on the end of your scrimmages, getting ready for your league and non-league games?
We've got a pretty experienced team here. We're a very, defensive-minded team. We've got some guys that just they take a lot of pride in putting zeros on that scoreboard. And as the defensive coach of the team, I smile and take a lot of pride in that as well. So we know we got guys that are going to go out there and they're going to lay it down to keep that scoreboard at 0. We also feel we have some creative finishers up top that have the ability to put the ball in the back of the net at a pretty good clip. And we have some pretty strong midfield play that's going to, possess the ball a little bit, move the ball around, and hopefully put us in some great spots to be successful. And so, we'd love to see our name up there in the top of the WBL there, battling it out with the likes of your Shawnees and your St. Mary's and, Ottawa Glandorfs and Elidas there. But we also know that, it's one day at a time, and we just got to get better each day.
You've got quite a few bus trips, though, this year. I mean, Delaware Hayes, when you go to even some of the league games, obviously everybody knows Defiance is 3 hours from everywhere. St. Mary's and Lexington. It seems like you guys have adopted the we'll play you wherever, we don't care who you are or what you want to do.
Yeah, we kind of do that in the summer as well. We travel up to, we went down to Mason this summer, saw some quality competition down there. We went up to Strongsville for the national showcase they had up there. And our philosophy is, we just want to get better. And if that means we got to go out of conference and play some of the best that we can find, then we're going to go do that. Now, Lexington, we added to the schedule last year, brought them into our place, and that was a fantastic game. It ended up being a 2-2 draw, but what great competition that we hadn't really seen before prior to this past season.
You may have just made my wife's day, because the mention of the big tournament they have there, the Adidas tournament in Strongsville, that's where she's from. So it's kind of like a shout-out to her.
There you go. It's a great, we've been up there for about 10 or 12 years, and I actually grew up about an hour east of there still, so I know the area pretty well.
And that's, an hour east of Strongsville is a completely different world.
Exactly.
As someone who's had to make that trip a handful of times. But it's so cool, though, because I know with what they've done with that tournament, and it's just continued to grow and grow and grow, and they play, 9, 10 different fields, and to that level of competition, I mean, you really, I would think, would be able to take away a lot of positive things going into this season just from that one tournament in the summer.
Oh, yeah. We play 7 40-minute games while we're there over the course of 3 days. And, we'll see. This year we saw Indian Hill. They were the only team to beat Cincinnati Wyoming last year, who won the Division II state title. We saw a great squad in Marietta, and we usually see 3 or 4 teams there that get us ready for what we call WBL play.
When you look at how the rules have changed and kind of how with the, I don't want to say the influx, but with a lot of the WBL specifically going to a lot of turf, playing on some of those, I mean, how big of a difference does that make for you guys that you play on grass when you go into especially the tournament?
I'll say, when we won the WBL in 2018, and then we had to play Bay Village in Sandusky Perkins in the regional final on turf, that was difficult. 11 in the morning, chilly. Like you said, we're a grass playing team. We went over to Allen East for 2 days just to try to practice on the turf. But after our season ended that year, we were built in Kenton. We have the indoor facility, and it's got 50 by 50 turf in it. And so we've been on that for 5 years now, and 4 or 5 months of the year in the winter months just in there playing on it. So we at least have that to prepare us for a lot of the games that are going to be on turf as opposed to just the grass.
I see that you've gotten around quite a bit this summer. You were in Florida not that long ago, right?
Yes, we went down to Florida with the family, and we drove all the way down to oh my gosh, it was so far, I kind of forgot the name of it right now. But yeah, we went about 17 hours away, had a nice trip down there, visited some colleges while we were down there. That's one of my favorite things to do. I love to just get on college campuses and just go tour them and see them and check out all the facilities.
Were you trying to get a scholarship just for you?
But yeah,
see what they had
a little
left.
too late in that time. I think a little late in that time.
Hey, it's never too late if they say yes.
That is true. That's a good point.
I saw you were at Florida Gulf Coast. That's why I asked.
Oh, yeah, we ended up stopping down there. Man, just a beautiful college there, and we knew all about their basketball team they had a few years ago. And when my son was playing club soccer, we were down in North Carolina, and we got to meet the team when we were down there probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm like, we got to stop in there and, visit it and see the places there. And, boy, it was wonderful. Real nice area. A little hotter than it is up here.
Right.
It is nice.
Which lately is really saying something.
Oh, man, yes. We've had some heat here, and it has been interesting. Just trying to keep guys hydrated has been a test itself.
Well, if you end up in Homestead, Florida, just get in the car and turn around and go back north immediately.
Don't even do it, huh?
Yeah, don't even do it. You go south of Miami, you might as well just turn around and come home.
Yeah, there's something to be said about having 4 seasons sometimes.
Right. I keep trying to figure out where the hell I could live that it's 73 and sunny, and there's a good breeze all year long, but apparently it doesn't exist.
As I say, if you find it, let me know, because I'm looking for that as well.
Yeah, I don't need the 95 while we're in press boxes all of August.
No.
But it is kind of crazy, though. I mean, the way that soccer itself has sort of changed, and whether that's schematically or just with kids becoming, I guess I want to say, better athletes, so to speak, that they have better training available and better materials. I mean, that's how much of that did it change maybe how you look at it from a coaching perspective?
Around here, it's tough to get kids involved in club soccer. They have to travel a little further than, your Cincinnati and your Cleveland ones. But it is nice that they're able to play the game, almost year round. You have your indoor soccer, you have your futsal seasons, and then you have your club seasons there. I mean, so technically, if a kid wanted to, he could probably play soccer about 10 months out of the year. And you get about a 2-month break there. So that has been a game changer, obviously. The fear is you don't want kids to burn out either as they're playing that much soccer there. But when you're playing that much soccer, you're just bound to get better. The exposure to Premier League and La Liga and Bundesliga now on TV or any of the new streaming services, kids can watch some of the best players and emulate their games after them. I know my son Landon would just, YouTube players watch what they would do and go out in the yard and just practice it for hours. That's just something growing up, I didn't have that luxury.
Yeah, we had rabbit ears and 3 channels.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I remember when we got USA Network for the first time.
Yes, and so it's a blessing for them. They get to see a lot of the world's best players, and like Manchester City just came over here and played 2 games in Houston and up in Green Bay and Lambeau Field. I mean, so if you live near those places, you can go watch some of the best teams play live.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. Obviously, for us, with having the World Cup here in the '90s, it brought a big boom to what soccer kind of is turning into now. How big of a deal do you think that'll be going forward for it would be your youth kids now? We're not that far away from kind of North America again with the World Cup, and maybe bringing another big boom into especially high school soccer.
Oh, yeah. I think the 94 World Cup was fantastic for American soccer, and it did put us a step in the right direction there. And I do think there's going to be so much excitement and people wanting to be a part of it and go watch the games there. And it should be almost as contagious as it was back in 1994, if not more.
Every coach will say the next one, and I'm expecting that. But when you put your schedule together, when you see your schedule come out, is there a game that's a bullseye game?
That's tough because the WBL lends itself to a lot of natural rivalries. We love facing Shawnee. You've got to bring your A game if you're going to see them. St. Mary's is like a mirror image program to us. I feel like whenever we play St. Mary's, we're playing ourselves. That's a very tough game. Ottawa Glandorf has always been some great battles that we've had there. Elida, we had some knockdown, drag out fights there. So it's hard to pinpoint one because, like I said, once you play one, you got to get ready for the next one.
Well,
and so you don't get much time to breathe.
At least 3 of those you get in your last 6 games of the season when you find out who you are. The bad news, they're all on the road.
That is true. There's something to be said about playing at home. We have some pretty tough venues to play in. Some we've been extremely fortunate, and we've had some great results in there. And others, we've had some results here and there, and sometimes we've not had the results we've wanted. So you just never know what's going to happen. When you step into an opponent's setting.
Well, what's the age-old joke that you've obviously had to try to turn around of the only season that matters in Kenton is football season? I heard that so many times growing up.
I'd like to think that we have done a good job of changing the mentality of us being a football school. Yes, we've had some great football teams. I moved here in '98, right at the height of the Coach Maag days and Benny Maag, and boy, we had some wonderful teams there. And so it's nice to see 2 programs be successful there. And I'd like to think that we can say, okay, we're a soccer and a football school now.
And I got to believe from talking to you and kind of getting to know your program, you've got very high hopes for this season.
You know what we do, man? We were at Ohio Wesleyan. We go there for a team camp every summer, and one of the big things that Coach Jay Martin does there is he has the teams that are there create their goals and their values and just some off-field things that they want, to accomplish there. And so, and it's a point where my assistant, Jordy Martin, and I, we just walk away from the team and say, it's your guys'. We can sit here and do this with you, but put down the goals you guys want to achieve, think we can reach, and we will do our best to help you make sure we reach those.
Well, I wish you the best luck trying to navigate your way through the WBL this year.
Oh, thank you, man. It's always a battle, man. It definitely gets us ready for that meat grinder of a sectional tournament, that's for sure. Sometimes I wish I could go east as opposed to having to travel back to Elida, because once you get through your season, then it's like, okay, if I'm going to make it to regionals, I got to go through another 4 WBL schools. And never an easy feat.
No, but again, the best of luck. That's Kenton boys soccer coach Jamie Bartlett. We'll talk some more when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
Lee Kinsel GM Sales and Service is much more than your home for the best prices on new and pre-owned vehicles. Lee Kinsel is your home for Accessory Avenue, 602 West Irvin Road, the best accessory shop in Northwest Ohio, featuring gator hide protective coatings, your top choice for window tinting, and ceramic coating for truck beds and trailers and other surfaces, even motorcycles. Accessory Avenue is also a WeatherTech Diamond dealer, Penske Truck Rental Center, and American Rental Center for cars and vans. And remember, Accessory Avenue at Lee Kinsel will work on all makes and models. Impressed? Well, what if I also told you Lee Kinsel is Taylor Auto Service, 231 South Walnut Street in Van Wert, pre-owned vehicle specialists for over 70 years. Combine all that with the friendliest staff and impeccable service department, and there's nowhere else you need to go for all your vehicle needs. Find out more by stopping into Lee Kinsel GM Sales and Service, 650 West Irvin Road, Van Wert, online at leekinsel.com or call 866-LEE-KINSEL.
Coming up on the beginning of the fall season later on this week, soccer starts this week, football next week. You've got cross country and volleyball going on as well. But talking soccer now with the head coach of the Ottoville Big Green, who made a run to the regional finals last year, in Dustin Markward, who I didn't realize this, just told me that basically he's a soccer program lifer at Ottoville. It's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, correct. It's hard to imagine a season without being, associated with soccer at Ottoville right now for me. It just feels like, every single year I've been a part of this program, and, a lot of good things have come and gone through this program. And, I started my playing career at Ottoville, and then shortly after that, after I graduated, got right into coaching, and it's been that way for a while, I've been there, been coaching for almost now, would be about 15 years as either an assistant or head coach.
Well, and it's kind of funny because that might make you the one guy who, anytime someone says something about Ottoville soccer, you can say, well, I've seen pretty much everything at this point, and nothing surprises me. And it actually be true.
Yeah. Correct. Part of playing and coaching at the same school is you have gotten to see, everything through there. And, I feel like I have not missed a single beat of anything that's come through this program. And, that's kind of what, like I said, heading into this season and, in the seasons past is always trying to put a print on this program and, make it known. So, we're heading in the right direction. One of the biggest goals of my growing up here as far as coaching is always wanted to put this team on the map. And I think after what we did last year, we certainly did that.
You guys come out of the gates last year 36-1 in terms of goals scored versus goals given up. You go 4-0-1. Was it a point where, even with the tie to Liberty Benton in that fifth game, that you kind of felt like, okay, this is a pretty good team. They're learning. They're listening to what I'm saying for the most part. We can maybe do some damage this year.
Yeah, and the funny thing is to start the season, we were hit pretty hard with injury. Like hitting the scrimmages, we had a couple guys dinged up. We had one of our better players get hurt, had a back issue in June, and so we didn't see him for at least almost half the season. I think was it that right about Liberty Benton game was his first game back, and things started kind of going a little south on us, and it wasn't his fault. It was more of okay, we adjusted as a team without him, and then now that he came back, we had to find ourselves, and it kind of it did disrupt a little bit of the rotation and things, but I knew in my mind that we were obviously a way better team with him on the field. It was just a matter of trying to figure things out. And to answer your question, yes, I felt like we were able to figure things out without him. Once we can figure it out, I think, we could do some damage later on in the season, and that's what we ultimately were capable of doing.
It's crazy to me to look at you guys play 21 games. You go 13-3-5, if I understand how math works. And of that, you have 15 shutouts defensively, and there are 19 of the 21 games that you play that are a shutout one way or the other. I mean, does that make it kind of easier for you to point out to your kids of, hey, one bad ball, either on their end or our end, and we're either going home happy or we're making a long bus ride?
Oh, absolutely. We keep, as coaches, we preach about, disciplining the mistakes. I used a prime example, the Calida district final game. It was a mess. Like, as far as weather-wise, like it was raining, slippery. Kids couldn't get their footing, and I mentioned, hey, whoever loses their footing or whoever slips and makes one mistake, that's going to end up costing the game. And ultimately did. If you watch the highlight of it last year, we had a player break free because a couple of Clyde defenders slipped. He went around them and scored the game-winning goal. And, that's kind of what we preach about, is being fundamentally sound on defense. We've been fortunate to have a lot of good athletes back there to help us. And, we've also been pretty consistent as far as being able to have a goalie every single year. And that's kind of, like I said, not necessarily the case for a lot of schools, and we've had that case before in the past where we've had to train somebody new. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a big priority at, when we're running our program, is we got to do what we can defensively, because in the end, that's, if we can hold teams to 0 or little as many goals as possible, you're going to put yourself in a good position to win.
Well, all 4 of your tournament wins coming that way. The one that I'm most curious about is the Spencerville game. I want to ask you from a coaching perspective. They play, obviously, at their home field. It's turf. Were you guys able to I know the weather later that week with the next game with Calida was kind of an oddity, but were you able to use your grass, or I guess Calida's grass, to your advantage to sort of slow them down strategically, or was it just kind of some other things you did? Is there a difference with the way that teams play on that?
There can be. I mean, it does slow the game down a little bit more, especially if you are used to playing on turf. I mean, quite frankly, I think, for a team like us, these past couple of years, we played better on turf. And I've seen a couple games, and we don't even have the experience for it. So I guess it just depends on the team and what you have. I even could say that, maybe Spencerville probably, prefers to play on grass either way, and they just unfortunately have to play on their turf for home games. But, no, I mean, I think going into that game, we knew that they had a couple nice skilled players up front, and we really had to keep them in check to the middle. And, we certainly did. We didn't really provide them with a lot of looks. We had a lot of looks in the first half. We just could not finish. Will Miller had a nice one right there. I mean, it was literally inside the 18. Got a nice look at the goal, just couldn't put it in. But, I kept telling the team that, when it comes tournament time, it doesn't matter how the ball goes in the back of the net. You just got to find a way to put it in there. And he was able to get 2 headers off them in the second half.
I know that the date says November 3rd, but I just checked my watch, and I'm pretty sure that the game at Mansfield Senior with Central Christian just ended.
Yeah.
That game, I'm pretty sure, took a couple of years off everyone's life.
Oh, it certainly did. I mean, it was, it was a little chilly too, if I remember correctly. But overall, though, yeah, it took a haul to get there. And even when we got down there, we took every bit of minute of it. We went into penalty kicks, and we've trained for those situations in the past. I mean, every year I always train these kids that we've been a part of. As a matter of fact, I want to say, even as an assistant coach, we've been a part of, I want to say, 5 shootouts in the tournament and have not lost one.
Wow.
As a head coach, I believe 2-0 in shootouts. So, it's a matter of being lucky and fortunate too, though, in those situations, because, anymore it's a 50-50 is what it is. You got, as a keeper, you just got to guess. And, hopefully when you're shooting it too, you provide a nice enough shot that the keeper don't get it or it goes over past. But yeah, I mean, certainly did seem like it took a while, but after going through that game film and stuff like that, I realized, this was one of those games where I don't know how we would feel if we would have lost that in the shootout, because I thought we controlled most of that game, and it only seemed right for us to win that in the shootout.
Well, at least from your perspective.
Yeah.
Kidron probably doesn't feel the same way. It was such an odd thing, as I remember Keith Utendorf was doing the game with me, and your athletic director is standing right behind me, and they were just, marveling at, all the plays in that game that your season could have probably ended 4 or 5 times before that with a team that had played so much that they were able to kind of, the next step put them in a better spot not to let that be the end.
Yeah, correct. I mean, like I said, the experience in playing can definitely lead up to that. And, we didn't really know a whole lot about them going in. Obviously, the team that we've never seen before, but we got some film on them. They had a really nice player. We realized too that, and we had to be real physical with them in the back, because again, they had a player, made some nice runs, keep them in check. We got them pretty physical, and fortunately, the officials too, they let us play. And that's the thing about officiating. And when you go to these games, every officiating crew is different. Some will let you play, some won't. So you just kind of have to get a feel with them for the first, 10, 15 minutes of the game to see how this game's going to be played out. And when we knew that they were going to let us play, I felt pretty confident in what we were capable of doing, because if we can be physical with teams like this team, and they're probably not used to the physicality and schools around here in Northwest Ohio, I felt like we were going to be in pretty good position, and we had a lot of chances, but fortunately for us, we were able to take advantage of that in the shootout.
Are you a magician?
I like magicians.
The reason I ask that is you have an 8-man senior class. You've got the 6 freshmen coming in, 5 juniors, and a huge sophomore class with 10. That's got to be about every boy in the school, right?
Oh, there's no doubt. So last year, we had our numbers spike up, and I had a meeting for the season. And usually we've been pretty consistent about, 23, 24 kids every year. We've had a few where it was only 17, 18. But then I had this meeting, and I found out about 29, 30 kids were showing up. And I'm like, I haven't seen those numbers since, back in my early days of playing. That's back when I graduated with like 60 kids in a class. Now we're looking at maybe half that. And so, I'm thinking, okay, this is incredible. And so the same thing happened this year. We only lost 4. We regained like 4 or 5. And so we got the numbers back up. Now, is that going to happen every year? Probably not. But no, for the size of our school, yeah, that's tremendous.
It's like Dave used to have every single girl in the school used to be on the basketball team.
Yeah, and the thing is, we tried our best to motivate these kids and want to continue playing the sport. I hate to lose anybody, but you're not going to keep getting everybody. That's the thing that you just have to understand. But overall, though, we want to try to run a program that kids want to keep coming back to and look up to playing. And so we as coaches have to adjust things that we do. We're more capable of doing, but we want to be competitive, but we also want to have kids continue to show up, and that's really helping us out, is being able to have a full JV team with these numbers.
We sit about 5 days away as we tape this from your opener against Defiance. For the first 5 at home, that's a nice way to do it. But the one oddity to me when I look at the schedule is, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but as far as I can find, you guys might be the lone Friday night game in the area. That's kind of cool. Hopefully it works more for people to be able to come out and less for everybody else to scout you.
Yeah, you talking about next Friday night?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Originally, that was supposed to be like the Friday night football game that we do. This started recently, and then they just added a 17th game. So we just kept it on a Friday night. But I also wanted to keep it on a Friday night because it's a good way to get people out. Unlike during the week and then Saturdays. But Friday night's a good way to start the season. We've usually tried to keep it that way. Last year, we always started on a Friday night. Lincoln View used to be our first game. That's on a Friday night next week. So yeah, it's a good fun preview, if you will, want to call it that. And not a lot of games. I think I checked. There is a few games that are being played, but I think we might be one of the ones in the area. So yeah, it'd be a nice game to come see.
Well, it also kind of breaks a little bit of a tradition on the Defiance side because they traditionally open up with Napoleon.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to get them on schedule. They're so close by. They got really nice facilities over there, and got in touch with them. They're a competitive school, and so yeah, I mean, they were willing to start early, and we'll see what happens.
You've got a lot of teams. You guys go from kind of the buildup of being the hunted this year, especially in the PCL. A lot of those games kind of fall the good way for you that they're at home. I mean, what are you looking at when this season comes to an end, kind of looking forward?
Well, the biggest thing is some of these games, like, for example, we want to come back this year and, be one of the leads in the PCL. We've won 2 of the last 4. So it's kind of felt like an every other year thing for us. So hopefully, if things go our way and it's, based on tradition your last 4 years, we should be the ones back on top this year. But the league's going to be definitely very competitive, more than so, I think, than last year. I look at, Fort Jennings is going to be better. Miller City will be better. Kalida should be pretty good yet. And, always Continental is always really good. So, the biggest thing is we got to take each game by game. We got a good stretch, a good portion of our schedule here. We got, Liberty Benton, Bluffton, Kory Rawson, Continental, Waukesha. And those are some tough games, right in a row there. So that's kind of about the stretch where we were last year when we kind of started winning and losing a game or two last year. So biggest goal is we're looking to just treat each game by game, and we get to that stretch. Hopefully we'll be on the receiving side of that in a positive way.
Well, I know Dave is excited about the Defiance game, about broadcasting that one. I hope that at some point I get to see you guys throughout the course of the season, and I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get to see you as well. I think there's a lot to be proud of about this team. We have a couple scrimmages already in our books. They look really good. We got a couple more here Monday and Tuesday before we kick off here on Friday. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get to see you some point in time this season.
That's the head coach of the Ottoville Big Green and Dustin Markward. Back here in just a few. We'll talk some more soccer.
Be more wild. Are you tired of sitting around at home this summer? Bring your family and come down to the African Safari Wildlife Park located in Port Clinton, Ohio. We have giraffe, zebra, bison, and much more. So skip the lines at the amusement park and come experience the safari for yourself. Are you tired of the normal zoo experience? Looking for an exciting way to see animals up close? Take Route 2 to the Route 53 North exit and follow the signs. Just 17 miles west of Cedar Point via Route 6. Open every day, rain or shine.
Talking about volleyball as we come back now and we get ready to talk about St. Mary's volleyball with the head coach and Caley Yoder getting ready to enter, I believe, her 3rd year and hitting it with a bang. Caley, I mean, you guys get that cold water spike off right out of the gate. That's not an easy way to start your season.
No, we are definitely getting prepared. This is our final week of practice prior to the season starting off. Entering the spike off and having cold water. Being the first team that we're playing is something we're looking forward to, but it's something that we definitely know we need to be prepared for.
It's crazy because it's kind of unlike a lot of other sports where you almost start off with a playoff right out of the gate.
Yeah, we do a lot of kind of locker room talk in the gym talk with the girls and as a whole team kind of looking over our schedule and saying, hey, we've really got to be at the top of our game. Going in every Tuesday, Thursdays, and then obviously a couple Saturdays in there as well. So we just try to, stay level-headed and just remember the goals that we set at the beginning of the season.
How different is it for you, kind of just looking at the way the volleyball is, that there are a couple of teams, Ottawa Glandorf's over there, where you might see a handful of times? Is it because it's so early? Is there any kind of strategic thing to that? You can't really not do something against teams like that. Right.
Really this early in the season, we're getting to the point where we are setting goals for ourselves. Individual players are setting goals for themselves as far as what we want to see this season become, what we think we can do this season. So our biggest goal, I should say my biggest goal for this season, is just for us to compete in every set, make sure that we're controlling the momentum of the game and making our competitors play to our level of play.
You've got 4 seniors, obviously, that are going to be a big part of what your success is this year. How have they been in terms of getting this team ready? You were at an odd disadvantage of when you started because of the whole COVID thing and everything getting back to normal, but I would imagine those girls have been pretty good at the top.
Yeah, coming into the season, I knew having 4 seniors is such an advantage for us. We have some really great leadership on the court. Addison Laus has played. This will be her 4th year on the varsity at varsity level for St. Mary's, and then Hallie Houston. This will be her 3rd year on the varsity court, and then Darcy Liming and Graceland Johns both coming in 2nd year, both getting lots of playing time. So wonderful girls, great leadership thus far. I mean, not missing a whole lot over the summer. We had some great turnout for summer workouts, and they're really, really focused coming into this season.
You have a very odd look at your schedule. I mean, you guys are away this weekend, and you start what seems like the San Antonio rodeo trip next week when you go to Pandora. I mean, first of all, you got to find Pandora, but then the other part being you go to Knoxville, you go to Wampauck, New Bremen, OG, Kalida. Oh, we get to come home next month and take on Minster. I mean, that's a heck of a challenge.
Yeah. The girls and I have become used to, right out of the gate, we go 2 games a week, 3 games a week sometimes, and not having a whole lot. It's kind of nice that we are in our gym as much as we are, but those away games, they can start stacking up against you. Again, we just try to stay as focused as we can, and we play hard, practice hard before each game, and then whatever happens, we're ready and we're looking ahead to the next game.
I just always find it funny because every coach that I've ever had with that block scheduling says, yeah, but next year we have all those games at home.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, but that doesn't help you right now.
Right, yeah.
Talking to Caley Yoder, the volleyball coach at St. Mary's, when you take this job, I have to ask this because I jokingly ask this about every St. Mary's coach. Last game of the year, obviously at Salina, you played at Salina, and I mean, how do you? What do you do? Do you just burn all your green clothes?
Well, I didn't necessarily burn them, but they are in a box somewhere. I don't really wear them a whole lot anymore. It's more blue and gold. So
I say that as a joke, but there are actually people who would be, well, why wouldn't she? I think that's the great thing about how that rivalry actually is that there are enough people that still believe in it that, it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah. Even the girls, they have a good laugh about it every once in a while because they know that I am Salina alumni. So it is definitely a rivalry for the girls. It's a game that we look forward to. We know it's going to be competitive. We know it's going to be high energy, and just I just have so much fun watching the girls play, either at home or this year we go to Salina. So it's all 3 years that we've played against them it's been a fun match for me to watch and for me to coach. So.
I know that a lot of people generally, I mean, if you look historically at the WBL, you can say, well, you're going to imagine that either OG or Salina is going to be up there in the top couple of spots. Is that kind of what you envision other than you guys this year?
As far as looking at our schedule and seeing, who we're going to have to compete with in the WBL, I just feel like we, as a coaching staff and talking to the team, we know Salina is going to be competitive. We know that OG is going to be competitive, but we keep talking to the girls about, not counting any game on our roster as a win because volleyball is such a momentum type of game. you can go into a first set and kind of feel like you're handling a team really well. And then going into that second or third, they're making adjustments. And then, we have to make adjustments. And if that isn't made, you can surely lose a game easily.
With all of the things that have been going on, St. Mary's Summerfest being last weekend, you had the football team playing at Skip, the soccer team had their alumni tournament. How's the atmosphere right now in the school system? Everybody's just ready to go for the fall?
I think so, yeah. We just got done with our fundraiser, and everyone's just really excited. I've been just contacting several people. We always, since I took over the program 3 years ago, I try to host scrimmages and just get people in the gym and get us to get to play in the facilities that we have, because they're unmatched around here. I get so many compliments from coaches that come into our gym. They just love coming to play at our facility. So I think parents, players, even teachers, they're just ready for all of the fall sports. They're ready to get back into a routine. So,
well, if you guys need to raise money, make sure you hit up John Burke. He's got Muku bucks.
Yeah.
Don't let him tell you otherwise.
Okay. I'll email him real quick.
Right. He probably won't answer. He'll just say, I don't know what you're talking about. But it's a terrific schedule, obviously, that you guys play to get ready for the postseason. And I love the way that volleyball is sort of set, where you guys will play this weekend at Coldwater, and then you kind of go 1v1 for a little bit before you go over to another great tournament in Calida, kind of right in the middle of that, in the middle of your season, but the end of that massive road trip.
Right. Yeah. I do. I'm not sure how the girls feel about it, but I do enjoy the invitationals, just getting to play several great teams, seeing great volleyball. So once we get through that, it'll be nice to just kind of relax at home. Those home games are always a little bit more exciting for us, just because get a bigger crowd, and the girls love playing it on their home court.
Well, I bet they're a lot happier about 9 a.m. at Coldwater than they are at 9 a.m. at Calida.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say, wait a minute, we're going where?
Yep.
Yeah.
Some of the girls who run track, they know what Calida is, and they've already said that's going to be an early morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. The night before, you hope that the football game was a quick one.
Yeah. Yep.
But
yeah.
It is so cool. I mean, it really is a gauntlet, the way that the WBL is set up. Your last handful of games where you get Elida and Bath at home, and then you go to Salina. Kind of by that point, is there a specific thing that maybe going into this season you're looking at right now of, okay, we've got a couple of things where I want, but we need to be better here?
Myself and the other coaches on my staff really always kind of repetitive to the point where the girls are like, we know. But I really just kind of hit home the idea of serving aggressively and serve receiving well. We have to be able to run an offense, and if we're not passing the ball well, particularly in serve receive, we could be in some real trouble. So we practice that for probably 45 minutes to an hour every practice. That's something that I'm hoping we have a handle on coming into the season, and we're really getting our stride by the end of August. So
I would think, too, speaking of your staff, you have yourself and obviously the young ladies who are underneath you. You have a very young staff comparatively to a lot of programs around the area. How much does that help kind of, okay, it's not, back in the day when we were here, it's not that long to kind of be able to look at the wall and go, look, this is what we've done. We can get to this point.
Right. It's nice. It's nice for me to kind of look at my coaching staff and say, what do we need to do here? You kind of watch this for me. And then we kind of just bounce ideas off each other so much, just because we are so new to the idea of running a program and building something that is going to lead up. I think each year we've just gotten better and better, and we're continuing to grow as a whole program. I'm so family oriented when it comes to that. So it's not only me being in the gym with the high school girls, it's also myself and my other coaches being in the gym with the junior high girls, and I just call them the littles. But, girls who are entering, or I'm hoping they will enter the program. So I'm working with 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders all year long as well.
Well, that's terrific. I hope that everything goes well for you guys starting out this weekend. That's early, but you play well and play early, really early.
Yeah.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm hoping we go in there and just play the way we know how to play.
That's Caley Yoder, the head volleyball coach at St. Mary's. Back with more here in just a couple of minutes.
Getting the kids to practice on time. Remembering if it's your day to bring snacks. Making it to the game with a clean jersey. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like whether your kid is going to run toward first or third base. That's simple human sense.
Call Niedeck and Hilvers Insurance in Ottoville.
419-453-3448.
Talking about soccer and the St. Mary's soccer with the head coach of the Lady Rough Riders and Nick Wilson. We've had a pretty animated discussion before we got doing this. What people don't know is I feel like when you build a rapport with coaches and you see them enough, sometimes the actual interview takes forever because you just end up talking beforehand. Seems fair, right?
Fair enough, yes.
We were talking about kind of the world of soccer. We actually, it's kind of funny for people who don't get to hear this, we kind of end up doing this interview twice because we almost have the exact same conversation the second time.
Well, it's better the second time.
Well, it's cleaner. I think it's cleaner the second time.
maybe that's what it was.
Right. Maybe it just goes in a different direction.
Sure.
Big week for you guys. It's the start of the season, finally. You get 2 weeks of practice and all the summer and all the camps and everything, and it sort of boils down to Tuesday night when, thankfully, you don't have to go to Bryan. They come to you.
Yeah, we went there twice last year, so we're more than happy to host.
Well, and it's kind of crazy because the way the contracts work and stuff. I was talking to the volleyball coach, and Caley said, it is odd that we're away for like a quarter of the season right out of the gate, but I guess if you think about it, yeah, you'll be home all next year.
Yep, that's the trade-off. You take those little sections of the schedule that are less favorable, whatever you want to call it. If you're on the road, but then you turn around the next year and you get to lock down several in a row on your home court. So that definitely helps. We love being at Rough Rider Field, and I'm sure that the volleyball team is of the same nature there. They like to play at home, but you got to do what you got to do.
But let me ask you this: you guys are coming off a 12-7 year last year, where it maybe didn't end the way that previous seasons had and go as deep as you would like. But does it really matter anymore about whether the game itself is played against Bryan, at Bryan, or at your place?
No way, shape, or form. I mean, you have to be ready to set up, play, and give your all, no matter if you're on the road or if you're at home. And all playing at home does is gives you potentially a little more fan base, although our fans travel very, very well. So we surely appreciate that. But some fields are there's no set standard on the size of the field. There's minimum requirements as far as length and width and all that. But if you're playing inside a track, the width is different. So corner kicks are different, and just general ball movement is different. So if you're used to that, playing at home, you have a little bit of advantage, if you will. But if you're not able to adjust and move forward accordingly, then you go home with a loss. So you don't get much of a choice. So playing at home, yes, great. Playing on the road doesn't make any difference. You still have to put the ball in the back of the net and score more than they do, so that you come home with a win.
It sounds simple when you say it that way.
Right, doesn't it? Yeah, I just sit on the sidelines and yell stuff. So the girls are responsible for making that happen, and you hope that you've prepared them well enough, put a game plan in place that they can execute. And again, I'll say it for anyone from the OHSAA that is listening, please instill one timeout per half. So when the game plan goes awry in the first 5 minutes, you have a chance to
right.
pull everybody back in and reset. But that is a challenge. So.
That's high on their priority list, listening to this show.
I'm sure, yes.
Right. What's he down there talking about? I have coaches say that to me all the time. If I could have one thing changed and anybody's listening, sure, why not?
Right.
Please forward your complaints to Nick Wilson. Thank you.
There you go, yes. Get in line.
You're almost an honorary member of Putnam County this year with adding Columbus Grove, playing Fort Jennings, playing Ottawa Glandorf.
Yes, and I have a nice relationship with Dave Karras at Calida, so we see them usually during our early summer league, the Knock the Rust Off league, and we saw them at the actually our first scrimmage of the year with Coldwater. We got to have a good chance to bring in Paul Dingledine from the really the guy that established the program at St. Mary's. So we had a chance to go a little 3-way scrimmage with those guys, but Putnam County has always been nice to me, so let's play as many teams as we can there.
I think we're going to go back to that's an off-the-air conversation. It's very possible. Calida Fest isn't that far away, by the way.
Right, yeah.
You only got one game a week for the first couple of weeks.
Sure. Yeah, we got all kinds of time to go to Pioneer Days.
Right, but it's a big challenge. That we talked about this, and people who might not know, Brian already has a game under their belt. They've had, let's just call it some turmoil in the offseason, but their first game, 12 girls put up 23 goals. I mean, do you look at that, and we talked about it, but it's probably a more politically correct answer now of we're just going to go in doing us, or there are very specific schematic things we think we're going to have to try to implement?
No, I think overall, I mean, we go into the preseason with a mindset of, possible formation that we're going to run, how we're going to tweak that specific formation, whatever. And then through our early games, our scrimmages, we get a chance to try that out and, swap some personnel and try some people in different spots and maybe change that formation. But at the end of the day, you show up and you put your plan in place, and it doesn't make any difference what the record shows beforehand for us, for them, whatever. You still at the end of that 80 minutes, you have to have at least one more goal than they do to walk away with that W and keep moving you in the right direction.
And again, you make it sound so simple.
Right. Again, I just yell that to them, and I hope that they execute.
Right. Just go out and get one more goal.
Right.
That's the Rocky pep talk right before.
That's the key. Yes.
I've heard these pep talks from where I sit at in the booth up there. It's not much more complex than that. Something
it really isn't.
Really cool, though, I saw online the last couple of days that you had a young lady, Ariel Fast, get a pretty neat honor.
Yeah, Ariel, I just got back from practice and I was talking with my wife and I vividly remember seeing Ariel Fast outside of Rough Rider Field in a little patch of grass as 8, 9, 10-year-old. She was there every game, and I don't know how much of any of the games she watched, but she was usually taking on a boy, 2 boys, whatever, and just going one-on-one. And she has taken that mindset and applied it to her soccer career. And she, between she and Ella Jacobs, they're the 2 most dedicated, hardworking, off the field, out of season players that I have. And Ariel was just selected as one of 18 out of a 12-state area for the Midwest ODP team for her age bracket, which is the 2006 birth year. But she's ODP is the Olympic Development Program, and it's pretty it's a pretty substantial honor. So she's been invited to the ODP regional camp back in July for the last 3 years, and this year she obviously had developed enough that she was invited to the more late section of that camp, and just found out today that she was actually selected as one of those 18 from a 12-state Midwest or Great Lakes area to represent. So come November, she'll be in competitions with the other ODP league teams from the north, the south, the east, the west, and then the Midwest or the Great Lakes. So pretty incredible stuff. I don't know. I don't have any kind of stats in front of me, but I would say that she's one of the very few from this area that have been able to achieve that.
I can't remember hearing it right off the top of my head, but I mean that's awesome for her. It's pretty elite. So, and I'll be the first to tell you that she, if there's ever any downtime for her, it's semi-shocking because she's usually on the road in Tennessee with her club team. She's, has been invited to this ID camp for, whomever, Xavier, regional, whatever. They put a lot of miles on the car, and props to her parents for being willing to feed the beast and get her where she wants to be. But she is a hard worker and very well deserving of the honor. Talking to Nick Wilson, the girls' soccer coach at St. Mary's, I know that every coach, and I say this with every coach, the most important game is the next one, 1-1 or 1-0 and all that. But you have a 16-day stretch where you have 5 games in September. You have 3 away games with heavy hitters, Wapak, Toledo Central Catholic, and OG. Not easy places, first to get to, second to win at. But, I mean, you end that trip with Shawnee and Columbus Grove in a 3-day span at home. How important is it to beef up that schedule and get these girls ready for a big tournament run?
Well, it's incredibly important. You can go into the non-league games with, let's just get a game in and get some reps in and whatever else, or you can challenge your team. And again, my general philosophy is if we get beaten by a better skilled team, I can go to sleep slightly more easily. But if we get beaten by a more fit team, that irritates me to no end because we have full control over that. We can make sure that they are able to go 80 minutes if they need to go 80 minutes. So, if we're scheduling lighter, we don't get that opportunity. We have to put the pedal to the metal and challenge them from the get-go. And it's for the exact reason as that stretch. That's the league itself is brutal. And if you don't bring your A game, most days of the week, you're going to go home with a loss. So scheduling the challenging non-league in between helps, but it also makes for some brutal stretches. So that stretch is going to be a challenge for us.
A lot of people look at the league this year, top 4 last year, Shawnee, OG, Salina, and you guys. Is that kind of the mix that you expect for this season?
It's always very hard to say. I think that the experience that Coach Maag and her team had last year, making it to the state finals, is that you can't buy that. They got extra games, they got extra time, they got the excitement of playing at lower.com field. That's crazy. And to lose a few, but to have freshmen on her roster that got quality minutes and to replace them with some quality freshmen coming in, that surely makes for a challenge. Coach O'Brien at Shawnee, that is a class act program. She always, I don't care what her personnel is, she always has a team that will compete. So you have to bring it. Coach Gerker at Salina, he demands exceptional play, and he's going to make sure that happens. So, I would say that the four of us, surely in the mix, Bath, Elida, they're always there's always somebody that pops up and catches some kind of spark and figures something out midstream that make things really, really challenging. But overall, the four that you mentioned, I think are always going to be in the mix. There's no doubt about it.
Wow. Again, just kind of looking up and down the schedule. There's not an easy night where you got to try to get one more of those goals.
Right. Just one more. That's
just
the
one.
secret.
That's all you need.
That's right.
Yeah, you don't want any of those ties. Just throw those out.
That's like kissing your sister.
Right. I wasn't going to say it. I don't even have a sister. But that's on you. Nick, thank you so much for doing this, talking about your team.
I appreciate it, Mike.
That's Nick Wilson, the head soccer coach. Please forward your complaints to him. Just find his email. Back in a few. Thank you so much to the 6 head coaches in Kory Zenz, Michelle Maag, Jamie Bartlett, Dustin Markward, Caley Yoder, and Nick Wilson for being a part of this show. I know that it was a lot of information. I hope that there was a coach in there that you really enjoyed. If not, find him on Twitter. There might be somewhere. Find me on Twitter as well, and maybe just lodge your complaint. But football coming up in a couple of days. Have got at least a couple of coaches. Sandy Schaefer from Columbus Grove, whose team kicks off Thursday night against Pandora Gaboa, and also Chip Otten, the head coach at Coldwater, talks about a lot of things that he had going on this summer and about his team. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for listening to my little piece of the internet.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hearn. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter @MichaelHearnPBP for more great area content.